Hi, boys and girls. I'm so excited that today I get to read a really great book to you that I haven't gotten to read before to all you guys. I miss you so much, so this is really important to me that I get to kind of communicate with you through books. And also we're going to have some cool crafts that go with it, but you have to come by the library and pick that up, okay? And you're also going to see a video online, just like you're listening to the book, about how to do the crafts. And they're really neat because it's going to be a Cinderella hat and it's going to be the prince's crown. So you'll see some cool stuff in your art bag every week. I wish I could be with you to do it, but today we're going to hear the book Cinderella, and I hope you really, really love it as much as I do. Cinderella, retold by Sarah L. Thompson. Once upon a time, a rich merchant lived with his daughter. He loved the girl for her beautiful face and her sweet heart. But after his wife died, he decided to marry a second time, and his new wife was selfish and cruel. She had two daughters of her own who were just like her. The stepmother forced her stepdaughter to wash the pots and pans and scrub the floors and tend the fire. She had no fun at all. The poor girl did not even have a bed of her own, but lay by the hearth every night and rose in the morning covered with cinders. And so her stepsisters called her Cinderella. One day, the king sent word that he would hold a grand ball. That's a dance. There, the prince would choose a wife. I shall wear my red velvet with the lace, declared the older stepsister. I will wear my satin with the golden flowers, said the younger one. Cinderella gathered up her courage to ask a question. Can't I, she said. Hand me my stocking, said the older stepsister. May I, said Cinderella. Tie this ribbon in my hair, said the younger stepsister. Please, can I go to the ball? asked Cinderella. Certainly not, said her stepmother. And the stepmother and stepsisters swept off in their carriage to the castle, leaving Cinderella home alone. Cinderella sat by the fire, and a gentle voice asked her, "Why are you crying?" Cinderella jumped up, and there in the kitchen stood a nice woman with the kindest face she'd ever seen. Don't worry, my dear, the woman said. I am your fairy godmother, and I will send you to the ball. But godmother, said Cinderella, I have no carriage, or no horses, or even a gown to wear. Never fear, said her godmother, and bring me a pumpkin from the garden. Bewildered, that means she was confused, Cinderella picked a plump orange pumpkin. The godmother touched the pumpkin with the magic of her wand, and it turned into an elegant coach, a beautiful coach. The magic turned 6 mice into 6 prancing horses, 2 lizards into 2 proud footmen, and a rat into a plump coachman. When the wand brushed Cinderella's rags, she was dressed in a pale blue velvet and silver satin, and on her feet were a pair of glass slippers, delicate as icicles. You are dressed like a queen, said her godmother. Behave like one as well. Be kind and courteous to all that you meet, and leave the ball before midnight, or everything that my spells have created will vanish. Cinderella promised to come home by midnight and rode off to the ball. When Cinderella walked in the ballroom, the fiddlers paused on their strings. The dancers craned their heads and necks to see her, and the prince bowed low and asked her for a dance. Whispers raced through the crowd. She must be a princess from some foreign land. How gracefully she dances. What a sweet smile. Why, the prince can't keep his eyes off her. But Cinderella remembered her godmother's words, and before midnight she curtsied to the prince and hurried out the door. Remember, all the magic would disappear at midnight, so Cinderella had to go home. Just as Cinderella's coach rolled up in front of her house, the church clock struck 12 times. That means it was 12 o'clock midnight. Cinderella found herself in rags once more, sitting on a pumpkin with the mice and the lizards and a big rat at her feet. The next night, the king held another ball, and Cinderella's godmother sent her in a gown of white silk, sparkling with diamonds, and the same glass slippers. The prince danced with no one else. "But please," he begged, won't you tell me your name?" Cinderella hesitated, and the clock struck the first stroke of midnight. And we know now she has to go back home. Cinderella slipped from the prince's arms and ran toward the door. "Wait," he cried, running after her. But when he looked outside, the beautiful princess was nowhere to be found. He could see nothing but a shabby little servant girl with a pumpkin in her arms. And on the steps was one of her glass slippers. When Cinderella's stepsisters arrived home, they were full of stories about that mysterious princess. "The prince swears he'll bring that slipper to every home in the kingdom," exclaimed the younger stepsister, "and he'll marry the woman whose foot fits into it." "Well," said the elder one, the oldest, "that woman will be me." "No," said the younger, "me." The next day the prince arrived, and a servant followed him carrying the little glass slipper. The elder stepsister sat on a stool, and she shoved and pushed until she cried, but she could not get her foot into that little shoe. The younger stepsister tried next. She wiggled and twisted until she sobbed, but her foot would not fit either. And then the prince heard a quiet voice asking, "May I try too?" "Get back to your kitchen," cried the stepmother. But the prince remembered Cinderella's voice and her gentle eyes and her sweet smile, and he knelt and slipped the shoe on Cinderella's foot. He was not surprised when she drew the matching slipper from her pocket and placed it on her other foot. "You are the princess I danced with," he said. "I knew it the minute I saw you." Cinderella and the prince were married as soon as the wedding feast could be prepared. And Cinderella, who was as good as she was beautiful, invited her stepsisters and her stepmother to the wedding. Her stepmother was too out of sorts to dance, and as for the stepsisters, their feet were too sore from trying on the slipper. It was weeks before they recovered to even dance a jig. But Cinderella and her prince lived happily ever after. And that is the story of Cinderella. And what's really cool about it is your parents have probably read this book too, because it's very, very old, and it's the most favorite of all boys and girls for over 100 years. Now, come to the library and get your packet. Thank you. Bye-bye.